I'm going to talk through 6 simple steps that you can follow when picking your dividend stocks. Before getting completely overwhelmed with all the choices out there, just list down 10 to 20 companies that you have an interest in. These should be companies that you either use yourself or at least are familiar with. They shouldn't be ones that you've never heard of and know absolutely nothing about. And obviously it goes without saying, make sure these companies pay a dividend. This next step will naturally help shave the list that you made in step 1 down. And this is the research stage. You need to learn about the company. What do they do? What do they sell? How do they make their money? And will this change over time? And you need to think about whether the companies are likely to survive tough economic times, such as recessions. And also, do these companies have a competitive advantage? Do they have a moat? And as well, who is their competition? Have a look into whether you can trust their ability to pay dividends. Have they consistently paid dividends? And if you're a dividend growth investor, have they consistently increased their dividends? You can find this information readily available on the company's website, normally under a section called Investor or something like that. But you can also use websites such as Dividend Max that have a section called Annual Dividends, and that shows you if they've paid and increased their dividends year on year. Calculate the dividend yield. This is the yearly dividend divided by the stock price. You don't actually need to sit and calculate this. This is all very available online. If the dividend yield is less than 1%, then this is quite low. This suggests that the company aren't prioritizing dividends, and this may not be a company that a dividend investor wants in their portfolio. May being the keyword here. If a dividend yield is higher than 8%, this is obviously subjective, but this could mean that the company is covering up bad financials and having a high dividend yield in order to lure investors in. If a company has a really large dividend yield, then just be really cautious. Take those extra steps to thoroughly look through why that may be. This is now where you begin a more in-depth look into the companies. One thing that you can take a look at is the dividend payout ratio, which is the percentage of net income that is paid out in dividends. Usually this ratio is expressed as a percentage, and ideally you want those with between 30 and 50%. This shows that a company is using some of its earnings to go back into growth and growing their business, and some of it is going towards paying dividends. And if the ratio is way too high, then this could suggest that the company is at risk of cutting their dividends in the future, as they just may not be able to sustain this over the long haul, and also it could indicate that they're really not investing into their own growth. Remember that REITs are a bit different and don't really fit into this general rule, as they have to pay 90% of their earnings as dividends. Now you should look at debt, and specifically debt to equity ratio. Are they decreasing their debt as the years go on? Where is that debt actually coming from? And are they having to refinance any existing debt? Then take a look at the free cash flow. Companies that are producing lots of free cash flow are often the ones that are able to pay down their debt, pay dividends and increase dividends, and also put back into their company for future growth. At this point, you'll want to take a look at annual net income growth. This gives an indication on whether a company is actually profitable. There are many other different mathematical formulas, different financial indicators, and things that you could look at, such as PE ratio and so on, but I'm not going to make this video too long. I may do a whole separate video on that. The point here is just look at their financials. Numbers don't lie. You can find companies' balance sheets online, normally just on their website every single year, as they're completely public. And finally, take a look at how the companies have actually been performing. The charts are all online for you to look at. You may not want to invest in a company that has just seen absolutely no growth over the last decade, or one that is declining, so it's just good to keep that in mind. At this stage, you should be left with a pretty decent list, and you're going to be ready now to start investing and building your dividend portfolio. Of course, this is just a simple overview guide of what steps you can take when picking dividend stocks. For me, not every single stock in my portfolio has followed each and every one of these steps to an absolute T, but it is there as a general overview for you to use. I've made my own dividend tracker that I like to use. It's super simple, super easy, and I'll leave a link to the template in the description below. See you in the next one.